Hi everyone, I'm Carl, and we're going to discuss qualities of an effective investigator. There are 13 qualities of an effective investigator, which are 1. Perseverance, 2. Endurance, 3. Incorruptible honesty and integrity, 4. Intelligence and wisdom of Solomon, 5. Knowledge of physiology, 6. Acting ability, 7. Oral and written communication, 8. Observation and description, 9. Courage, 10. Working knowledge of laws, 11. Sense of justice and fair play, 12. Read between lines, 13. Martial arts and firearms. So we will be discussing these qualities while we are watching some movie clips of Johnny English and Hidden Figure. So first, we will be watching Johnny English.
You're not young, but with age comes wisdom.
Okay, okay, that part where Mr. Johnny English, or we all know him as Mr. Bean, Mr. Rowan Atkinson, uh, did a pause while chasing a theft thief. That one is part of endurance. Okay, endurance. Oh my god, endurance. That part, you are not allowed to mentally pause while chasing because you will lose your criminal. And the part where uh, the part where he uses the the sideway, the small passage just to continue the chase will be part of perseverance. You don't need to please do everything and just successfully chase the criminal. Sometimes in endurance you need to conserve your energy because long chases will take a toll on your body and your mind. So you will not uh, last longer than the criminal because those criminals are morally trained on running, and you are the one who is chasing, carrying a gun and vest. Those are heavy things, so you need to at least think of ways to successfully chase the criminal. Let's continue. The way he uh, the way he got through that small passage, he is thinking. He is thinking a way in using perseverance. Doesn't mean you are slow. At least you are successfully chasing it. And of course, that part will also be in observation and description. Observation, you are looking for other ways, and sometimes uh, you are thinking of other way in and in crime scenes, you are you are required to remember the things you've seen in the room or in the place. And also in interrogation, the description given to you by those to the person you interviewed must be always remembered because in their description there might be hints that you've seen those faces, like this girl told you that the man has this long nose, these small eyes, and in your as you remembered in the crime scene where there were many people looking at the crime scene, you've seen one of those person, this long nose and small eyes. So you must be observant also of your surroundings. Okay, continue. That is also part of observance. observation, and will laugh after you say it. Acting
谢谢。
ability, part the acting ability. Position. Okay, acting ability. The way he just slowly paid the worker and doesn't seem so bothered that he is chasing. You should always be calm because when you are in panic, you are also uh, making the crowd in panic. That would be a uh, bad example because making people panic will they will slow you down because they will do rational things like blocking the way, running, and might bump on you and you will fall over, making the theft the thief runs away. So continue.
Hand it over, chimp.
This part where Mr. Atkinson just pointed the gun and didn't use the gun would be part of what's that? Be part of martial arts and fair play, sense of justice and fair play. 13 martial arts and firearms. There is a law that all those investigators, policemen are not allowed to shoot because the person who is running, they are unarmed. That would be inhumane of you to shoot them. And you, who knows, you might shoot also another person because you are only chasing. And in sense of justice and fair play, that would be injustice shooting at a person who is unarmed. That is so unfair of their part. Okay, okay, let's continue. See, Mr. Atkinson, his acting ability on this scene, he is not panicking because panic will cause more issues and will delay the chase. And the way he is thinking of using other ways to chase the criminal. The way he is chasing the criminal, he is finding other ways rather than wasting those energy. That is part of endurance. That is the most important thing, saving energy. The way he just smiles at the old lady, part of acting ability. The way Mr. Atkinson a while ago talked to the death, the give the key, or as he said, hand it over. This thing should also be clear as you say it because saying things saying things or talking to the person, this could affect his mental capacity or mental ability, because if you threaten him pointing a gun, he will think of other ways, like might stab you. Who knows if he is bringing a knife, he will stab you or at least swat the gun away from you and punch you. Those things will affect the criminal or the person you are chasing on how you talk to them. You should always be calm. Do not make those loud noises because loud noises makes them panic. And on suicide cases, you are not allowed to speak to the one who is going to suicide in a threatening voice, because the more you threaten them or the way you are saying that you will say I will save you and things like that, they are much more likely to do and commit suicide. So at least approach them with caution and talk to them uh, calmly. Okay, thank you. Take our video. Then boosting his energy. Mr. Anderson is conserving for and into the next hidden figure. One of the most uh, really strong movie for me because of the racism of black and white. This is so strong that even the what do you call this? The looking down of females on working. This is looked upon. So let's watch this.
High school is a white school, Mrs. Jackson.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm aware of that.
Virginia, still a segregated state.
Your Honor, you of all people should understand the importance of being first.
How's that, Mrs. Jackson?
That part. You are the way the judge say, uh, how is that Mrs. Jackson? The intelligence of wisdom of Solomon. She is he is stating why is the reason that the first person is must be looked upon, uh, because in wisdom of Solomon number four, incorruptible honesty and integrity. We are no, not that one. Okay, the intelligence and wisdom of Solomon. Investigator could easily decipher falsehood from truth and separate the grain from the chaff. Uh, the judge already knows that she is stating something that catches his attention. That is also part of the courage of Miss Jackson. Courage. She, the way he look, she looks at the judge, it head head held high, and the way she talks
Well, you were the first in your
really shows
family
courage.
to serve in the armed
It's
forces,
justice.
U.S. Navy, the first to attend university.
What's the point?
I plan on being an engineer at NASA, but I can't do that without taking them classes at that all-white high school. And I can't change the color of my skin. So I have no choice but to be the first, which I can't do without you, sir. Your Honor, out of all the cases you're gonna hear today, which one is gonna matter 100 years from now? Which one is gonna make you the first?
My God, wrong.
No protocol for women attending.
Okay, again. Forgot to show the screen.
Good state.
Your Honor, you of all people should understand the importance of being first.
How's that, Mrs. Jackson?
Well, you were the first in your family to serve in the armed forces, U.S. Navy, the first to attend university.
What's the point?
All people should understand the importance of being first.
How's that, Mrs. Jackson?
Well, you were the first in your family to serve in the armed forces, U.S. Navy, the first to attend university.
What's the point?
I plan on being an engineer at NASA, but I can't do that without taking them classes at that all-white high school. And I can't change the color of my skin. So I have no choice but to be the first, which I can't do without you, sir. Your Honor, out of all the cases you're gonna hear today, which one is gonna matter 100 years from now? Which one is gonna make you the first?
No protocol for women attending.
There's no protocol for a man circling the earth either.
The way Miss Jackson or Janelle Monet, or I don't know how to pronounce her last name, the way she speaks with courage and incorruptible honesty. In courts, you are not allowed to say things that are unnecessary. Everything must be connected to the case. So, and you must be honest because it is also uh, part of our what do they call this? The testimony. We are the way we pledge her honesty to the court, and so on. Because if you are dishonest or not being honest to the court, you will be uh, dismissed or somewhat you will lose the case because you are being unhonest. Because everything will be looked upon because they are on the investigators will already send you uh, already sent the judge the things that are already on your hat on the hands of the one who is going to prosecute. So you must be honest and you can't be dishonest on these parts. And okay, next, the knowledge of psychology. As we say, that um, the way Mr. Atkinson or Johnny English pointed the gun, if you if that person was being what do they call this irrational and he thought of something else and just took the gun from you, you should always remember that the capacity of a person's mind will always be irrational uh, because of the situation they are in. So the way they think, you will not be able to predict this. So number five, see, you will never be able to predict those things. Back to to our first page. Love this way. Uh, this part where Miss Mary Jackson in Hidden Figures graduate because that court scene, she was granted night class only. At least she was given the privilege to go to school. That is also part of justice and fair play. Um, she got justice by having the privilege to go to school because she is an engineer. She's going to be an engineer, but she is not allowed to be one because they need those classes that only the white people are allowed. So she was granted this night class, and that was just some sense of justice for her. Read between lines. This part, um, you should know that uh, there will be this. Uh, there are these words that you must uh, decipher, and you must think of something other ways of deciphering them because it can be so unintentional or somewhat out of this reality. Only happens in movies that criminals will always leave those words that they want to be catched or something. So this will challenge the detective and or investigator. So this most likely doesn't happen in real life, but if so, they might so they are classically known as a very known criminal because they have the guts to leave some words that must be deciphered or if in other parts in if you are investigators that there are these things that words that are not really familiar to know to you because those are criminology jargons or as we know vocab only known to criminology. There are also jargons that are parts of nursing, engineering, and other parts of courses. As you read them, you will slowly know them. And in part of investigation, there are also times that you are really need to understand these things because those words are most likely clues in solving crimes like lumen, it means light, and it might be there are museums that says lumen, and who knows, a criminal got inside and uses also the lumen word and make it their code or let's say that they shouted lumen in their own in their own team. It means that like let's go to somewhere with light and pretend that we are no more criminals after we got out this museum. So you need to decipher those words and chase them because lumen, if you think of it, light, something connected with light, so far off the as we call running to the light or just light. So you need to understand or always read those uh, in medical term prescription, but in criminology, uh, intel. The, the way you read the intel, you must be cautious of how you read them because there are words that are almost similar with spelling but have different meanings and will always make you confused. And the 13 working knowledge of martial arts and firearms, as we saw, Mr. Johnny English just pointed the gun and didn't shoot because part of it is in criminology you really are not allowed to shoot if the guy is unarmed. But if you are only allowed to shoot if there are a shootout, he is also fighting. So in a matter of life and death, you should always shoot too. And in martial arts, because you didn't shoot, or most likely that in criminal chasing, you are not allowed to shoot because of an arm, but you are allowed to use martial arts. But not in a harsh way that you will broke his arm, broke his legs. So you at, at least in humane way of catching, defending yourself, or at least punching to knock him out. That is already enough. Uh, this working knowledge always remember that those things like shooting, fighting, inhumane, injustice, like that. Those part of laws, you will always remember those because who knows if there are parts of the things you've done that are already illegal for being an investigator. Like for example, in crime scene, in a the crime scene only happened in the living room and you went to the bedroom looking for clues, that is invasion of privacy. So that is a big no. Always remember that crime scene all just happen in a certain place. You don't need to look beyond the place because invasion of privacy, that will most likely uh, if there is a lost item, it will be blamed to you and you will be accused of theft or something like trespassing. So always be careful with those. And that's all. Thank you for listening to this video.